Welcome back to the Agent Mentor Podcast. I'm your real estate best friend and mentor, Mindy Kesnick. Today, we're going to talk about experts. And what I mean by that is in this career, obviously, you need to align yourself with some sort of expert no matter where you're at in your career, especially obviously if you're very, very new to real estate, but also as you get further into your career, because a lot of times what we want out of this career can change after you've been in it for a while. And today I'm going to start with telling you just a little bit of a story of how I very recently found myself in a situation where I accidentally found myself having too many experts. So as I shared on a previous episode, I recently went to this conference in Utah. And one of the amazing things that I got out of this conference was I found two experts that I wanted to potentially align myself with. One was a strategist. So he would kind of take my ideas from a business standpoint, from like a bigger like growth perspective versus just my real estate business, but more of growing a business that could potentially provide some passive income, and looking at building something like that so that I can in the next 5 to 10 years produce something that will provide me some location freedom. And so I found this expert and I'm like, yes, that's what I need. I'm going to hire him and he's going to help me build this business that I have this idea for, and it's going to produce passive income in 5 to 10 years so that I can zip down to Florida or Arizona or wherever the winters are not what they are here in Wisconsin. At the same time, I was also introduced to a mindset and business coach, and I met with her and I also loved her. So I hired them both. Not a good idea, folks. I then found myself in this situation where I'm meeting with expert number one and expert number two, and they have different thoughts around what it is that I need and what the first step is and how to approach kind of helping me achieve the goals that I have set out. So that was super awkward and uncomfortable, and I ended up having to back myself out of that because I ended up going from not having enough experts to too many experts. And I'd like to back up a little bit and just kind of explain how I got to this point of feeling like I needed these types of experts. Because as you know, I am affiliated with Agent Rise, and that is a specific real estate coaching company, which is amazing. And that is who I needed to align myself with when I was still a very early young agent, and I just felt like I didn't have systems, I didn't have processes. I was floundering, I was reaching towards anything and everything, trying to figure out how to run my real estate business. And so I aligned myself with a coach in that specific arena, which was real estate, and it was amazing. It provided me with everything that I needed, and I found myself within a very short time frame having truly a business that I loved. And so I still to this day run my whole entire business off of that framework. However, I'm at the point in my career where, I've built a team. I have been working alongside Agent Rise for 5-6 years, and I was ready to take my business to the next step. I was ready to look at it from a more bird's eye view and look at it more as, where do I want to build wealth outside of just the transactions? And in order to do that, for me, I decided that meant I needed to align myself with a business coach. So somebody that doesn't necessarily specialize in real estate. Thankfully, she has a grasp on it. But what she understands is how to break down our fears, because a lot of times we start to build businesses are based around keeping our fears comfortable and keeping them kind of tucked away inside. And then we create all of these self-defense mechanisms in order to keep those fears safe. And what she's going to do is she's going to help me break out of those so that I can see a more clear path of where I want to go. The problem that I found with hiring the strategist is they were looking to me to tell them what I wanted to build, And then I realized that what I was telling them was to some degree based on these fears that I had. And so sometimes we need a strategist to help us figure out what the strategy is that we want to build. Sometimes we need a very niched down coaching program like Agent Rise, for example. And sometimes we need somebody that can look at us from a bigger perspective. And in fact, the woman that I ended up hiring and I'm working with now, like I said, she's a mindset and business coach. And she's amazing. And she almost, I feel like, crosses the line of like therapists, because that's a whole nother set of expertise that a lot of us need in order to create this super well-rounded business, is some therapy to undo some of the fears and the limiting beliefs that we have. So now I've added yet another option as far as who do you need in your business right now to kind of take you to the next step? And maybe it's as simple as a mentor. There's mentors and there's coaches and there's therapists and then there's strategists. And I'm sure that I'm missing a handful of other people that can certainly help you in your business. But what I want to give you today and what I hope that you can take away from this conversation is just, again, taking a look at from a bird's eye view, taking a look at your business. First and foremost, do you have a business that you love? Do you feel like you have systems and processes in place? If the answer is yes, then maybe we can table that. That's awesome. We can kind of look at the other experts in the field and see if maybe one of those align with you. If you're not in a position where you're like, yes, I have a business that I love, I feel like I have systems in place, processes in place, and I feel like I have foundation and pillars that I am working from successfully. If the answer to that is no, I think considering a coach and or a mentor at this point is a really good idea. And the way in which you can get a mentor is potentially by joining a team. You can also align yourself with a brokerage that will reward an agent for taking you kind of under their wing. I'm at a brokerage that has a model like that where I sponsor agents in, and then they're kind of my responsibility that if and when they need that mentoring, I'm there for them. That's kind of the agreement. So those are a couple different options. Obviously, a team, make sure you're interviewing teams and it's the right fit for you. That's another podcast for another day. There are a lot of different team structures, but aligning yourself with a team that has some really experienced agents that are running businesses that you admire, that's a really great way to get mentoring. So there's this idea of mentoring, there's the idea of coaching. Two very different things, but both necessary if you are in a position where you would not say that I love my business. I have built a business that I love. So those are some things to consider. If you are in a situation where you have built a business that you love, is there another area where maybe you could use a little bit of expertise? Honestly, the last place I was and still am was therapy. And that was not related to specifically to my real estate business. However, I will tell you that if you are struggling with things like childhood trauma or just limiting beliefs, self-worth issues, if you are struggling with any of those kinds of things, your business is going to suffer. Especially a lot of us have this very small, limited ceiling of what we think that we are worth from a financial standpoint, and we never end up making anything more than that. Or we do end up making more, and it makes us so uncomfortable that we self-sabotage ourselves back into a more comfortable range of finances, or of income, I should say. And so asking yourself some questions, does that resonate with you? Like maybe you're in a position where you know that there are some hurts, maybe some wounds that you kind of just stuck a Band-Aid on and never really nursed into scabbing over and ultimately scarring and healing. And if that's the case, I mean, therapy, I personally look at therapists and counselors as coaches. This is something that I'm very passionate about. In fact, that's how I ended up getting my husband to get on board with therapy for our marriage, because I've always looked at my business as something that was so important to me that I'm willing to invest in coaching. And so why wouldn't I invest in coaching from my most important relationship, which is my marriage, right? And so when I shared that with my husband, he was like, "Okay, that makes sense." And we ended up doing some marriage counseling together, and it was just really fruitful for our marriage. And so whether you have these childhood traumas or not, is there an area of your business that you can see as being affected by maybe some sort of trauma or limiting belief or something like that, that maybe therapy could help you with? So that's something to consider. And then on a much higher level, there is this idea of hiring more of a mindset and business coach. And that could be real estate if you're wanting to grow a team, or you have some really big real estate specific goals that you don't know how to accomplish. There are definitely options around that. Agent Rise is just one of them, and I will put in the show notes a link that you can get a little bit more information on that. But there's a million different ways to get coaching in real estate. But sometimes like I said in the beginning, sometimes we're in a position where we are just ready to take our business to the next level, because a lot of times people will say that they run their own business as a real estate agent, which is true to a degree. However, if your only income is from your real estate transactions, if that's the only stream of income is a commission check from closing a deal, I would honestly consider that more of building yourself a job than building yourself a business. So if or when you're ready to take that to the next level and start looking at growing wealth from multiple streams of income, that's when some of these other experts may play a role in who you want to consider investing in. So I put out this episode today because I recently was at a position where I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to the next level. And this is very much Mindy's ignorance on fire, where I hired 2 people at the exact same time, which is a horrible idea. Because like I said, they both, I think I could have gone either direction, and they both would have been a great fit, honestly. And they both would have probably helped me accomplish what I was looking to achieve. But both of them were not going to work because, again, I was finding more confusion than I was clarity. And ultimately, if you hire the right person, one of the overarching thing that they will help provide for you is clarity. And that clarity comes from getting down to your insides. What are those fears that you have developed these self-defense mechanisms around in order to keep those fears safe? What I am excited to do in my next steps here with working with this mindset coach is she is going to break down those fears, find out the root of them, and we are going to try to unravel them and set me up so that I am not basing my future plans, I'm not making dreams, I'm not going down any sort of path that is attached by any stretch to those fears. Because unfortunately, if we don't have an expert in one area that we're talking with that can point those fears out to us, if you're in this very lonely business all by yourself and you're not having conversations with somebody who does have a little bit more experience than you do, unfortunately, we can make a lot of decisions based on those fears. And so ultimately, that's what I'm hoping to help you kind of just think about is, are you in a position right now where you are maybe making some decisions in your business based on fears? And if so, maybe it's time to just look into some different options of who's out there. What kind of experts do you need to align yourselves with just in order to kind of take that to the next level? So I am a resource for you if you need some guidance, if you need a little bit of help and you just want to bounce some ideas and some thoughts and questions off of somebody. reach out to me. You can find me best on Instagram. I'm just Mindy_Kesnick there. And so I would love to be that resource for you. I would love to just kind of help you. And again, if it sounds like Agent Rise might be a good start, they have a very, very affordable option for you to kind of dip your toes in. So I will link that in the show notes. It's just one of many options, but I'm here for you as your mentor to help you kind of align yourself with what is the next step for you in order to continue to grow in this incredibly lucrative, amazing opportunity that we have at our fingertips, which is real estate. So thank you so much for listening today. If there's anyone out there that you think could resonate from this episode, I would ask you to please share. And if you have not already, please consider leaving me a review. It's just kind of how I know that I'm hitting the mark. So I really appreciate any feedback you can provide. So thank you so much for joining me today on the Agent Mentor podcast, and we will see you again soon.